try it again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Why didn't you do that the first time? I am so excited to be here today. I couldn't sleep. And the young lady that invited me to come to speak, I had an opportunity to meet her at the big organization this year where I spoke there. And I'm gonna do today what I did there. And they're gonna pay me to come up in here to talk to you asses. Now you didn't get that. I'm talking about the American slave culture, AS. And many of you have been wanting to tell your neighbors that for a long time, your co-workers that for a long time, that you've been one of the biggest asses. American slaves. See, we've been off course in this nation. And I know as a commercial airline pilot, you can be 1 degree off, don't forget that. You can be 1/10 of a degree off course, and you will not arrive at your destination. And we've been off in the United States ever since existence. And one thing that Einstein said, you cannot solve a problem at the same level in which it was created. You got to go back to the beginning. And we got to go back to the beginning because without the slave culture, the Department of Agriculture would not exist today. I'll say that one more time. Forget agriculture, America. Because see, we've been off course. And this is so important. So today, I want to share with you, since this is Diversity Day, we're going to talk about some goals and objectives. We're going to talk about how we're going to add value to you. Add value. You're going to be enlightened. You're going to be empowered. You're going to be inspired, and you're going to be motivated after this 30-minute speech. As well as, I'm going to share with you ASI, American Slave Inc. Diversity Program. Now, you can change to the next slide.
Excuse me, speaking to Mike, can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Is that better?
Yes.
I'm so excited to be here. Turn to your neighbor and say, fasten your seatbelt.
Buckle up, okay? Buckle up.
Buckle up. Turn to your other neighbor and say, you know that you needed to be here today. Dr. G, Captain Dr. G is up in the house. We're going to add value to your life today.
That's right.
We're going to add value. You're going to another level. I'm going to take you to 35,000 feet. That's what I do. And I need to tell y'all, I made a comment about that they have paid me to come up. I would have did this for free. I told the lady I would do it for free to come up here and straighten out the asses in this place. And the asses are the American slave society, the American slave culture. See, many of us, you're looking at me funny, but many of you don't know who you are. And until you know who you are, you're not going to know what you've been called to do. Next slide, please. AS was an acronym. When I said asses, it was an acronym for American slave. And so I represent the 21 million descendants of American slaves here in the United States. Next slide, please. See, we've been called slaves, colored, Negro, black, now African American. Which one is it? Next slide, please. Oh, right, she can't hear me. Okay. Who are we? Where are we at in American society? We've been called slaves, colored, Negro, black, African American. Which one is it? And why so many name changes? That was a question I had to get answered. And the reason why was to cover the shame and the crime of slavery. Slavery was a crime against humanity, so we change our names every 25 years. But guess what? We've had to deal with white supremacy, slavery, colonialism, and all it has produced is poverty, violence, crime, self-destructive behavior, ethnic conflict, drugs, neo-colonialism, chaos, and it's all due to a foreign identity. We're not black. Black is a color. It is a description. It is an adjective. It's not a culture. It's not a nationality. It's not a race. It's not even a noun, person, place, or thing. It is a color. And we're certainly not African Americans. African American is a United States immigration term for those whites and blacks that legally come here, that have attachment to Africa, that comes here to the United States to make some money, and they come here and they get nationalized. African American. Our culture Guess what? We were forced here. See, the Indians were not going to build America. So America created the American slave culture. She bred them on those plantations. And if anybody knows this, the Department of Agriculture knows this. Because agriculture would not have existed without the slaves. And so we have been misidentified. And so in 1865, after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, they did not give the American slave culture no type of economic emancipation for its 246 years of service, didn't provide no type of leadership training or how to enter into mainstream America. So the American slave culture. And I tell people, they're not killing blacks. I'm sorry, the police are not killing blacks. They're not killing African Americans. They're killing the descendants of American slaves. It is what it is. And so we have to begin to deal with this, and here's why. America is a corporation that operates off of contract, laws, codes, and proper legal documentation. Slavery was a business. It wasn't personal. It was a business. And I'm not mad at America. America, look at slavery work. Look at this great nation that we're living in. However, because the name slave can be found in our Constitution, the 13th Amendment, it's also a legal term. How many of you here have children? When you have a baby, it is your responsibility to name that child when that baby come out, right? Well, let's look at it on a larger scale. When a country have a culture, it is the country's responsibility to name that culture. And guess what? America did. She named us slaves. That is our legal name. And if we're going to be effective in dealing with America, we have to use that terminology. Next slide, please. Now, I'm going to give y'all some quick history because y'all looking at me funny. And that's okay. Because, see, I know that you don't know who you bees, pardon my best Ebonics. And I'm going to help you because, see, this is, listen, the slaves have always had to clean up after the master's mess. And so guess what? The agriculture department, they didn't know what to do with y'all. So they hired me to come here to help to clean up your mess. Hey, the first wave of societal change, what was the first wave? The agriculture age. Plantation, the American slave. What drove that economy? No, it wasn't agriculture. What the primary source of capital in this system was the slave, free labor. Let me work you for 400 years and I got to pay you and see how far I get ahead. Are you feeling me? Next slide, please. This is quick teaching. There's been 3 waves, family. I'm going to help get you quickly over to the other side. The first wave was the agriculture age. The second wave was the industrial age. And now we are shifting to the information age. And so right now we're between the parentheses of the 2 systems. And it's important that you understand this because many of the American slave culture is still stuck here. Oh yeah, the American Civil War, the war took the physical chains off the American slave culture, but the chains are still on their minds. And why? Because the only thing that will set you free here is truth. It was something that was in John 8:31-32. You shall know truth, and the truth shall make you free. Our culture is not free. Many of us here are still stuck here. We didn't participate in the Industrial Revolution. And now that we've shifted to the new system, it's a whole new different ballgame. Now, I wrote a book over there called Collaboration, Teamwork, and Networking, a case study for systematically working together to achieve successful living, that I've helped to define the new system, what the new social, political, and economic model will look like for the information age. Let me tell you what happened to me. 51 years ago in 7 days, I got a wake-up call. Does any of you know what happened 51 years and a week ago in this country? Well, no, not really. That was the night we had the Watts riot in Los Angeles. At 7 years old, I got a wake-up call. I was part of the Watts riot at 7. And I started asking questions. Why is the community burning down? And that brought me to 3 years later when the night Dr. King was assassinated, April 4th, 1968, was my late 10-year-old birthday present. The community in Watts burned down again. And I made a decision that night. I said, we're gonna fix this thing. And so I've been laser and razor sharp focused on understanding the problems here in the United States, and we now have the solution to heal our country. Slavery was the foundation of America. It will always be. And we got a major crack in the foundation. Now, a nation will only be as strong as its weakest link. Well, the weakest link in the foundation is the DAS. Okay, you're not American slaves, you guys are DAS. You are descendants of American slaves. Can you receive that? Is that a little easier to swallow? But the bottom line, the American slave culture is still struggling. Now, let me say this to my white brothers and sisters, because we're all brothers and sisters. I'm American. I know if I leave, I take that jet and go to London and get caught with my US passport by ISIS, they ain't gonna be talking about you black. No, they're gonna cut my head off because they see me as an American. We're Americans. And that's important that we understand this piece here. That's why we all went to the same schools. We didn't get the right information. But we're brothers and sisters. You just by another mother. But we family. See, the slave master, we were considered property. So he was having sex with the sister slaves. And so the blood has been mixed. We are all, turn to your neighbor and say, we are all family. We're all Americans, so we got to take the color off the table. If any Americans hurting, guess what? We all are hurting. And we are hurting right now. Next slide, please. Now, the real question that's got to be answered. What is America going to do with her first... What's she going to do with her firstborn? See, Americans had no other child but the slaves. Now, you guys want to call them African Americans, but that's not true. When they brought them here to this country, they brought them here by force. I'm going to plug that in a minute. They brought them here by force. They didn't come by choice. And so they're non-immigrants. Everybody else that come to America, they came by choice. They're immigrants. And when they start having those babies on those southern baby-making plantations, those was American. I don't care if you call them property, but they still were Americans. And so America has had no other child but the slaves. And my other brothers and sisters, you need to understand what is going on. The stuff that's happening in the United States, the American slave culture is revolting right now. They're now starting to wake up, but they're waking up in ignorance because they don't know who they are. And when you don't know who you are, you're not going to know what you are and what you've been called to do. But the American slave culture got birthrights. It's the same as like that baby over in London that was born here a few years ago. As soon as that baby popped out as the royal family, he had guess what? He had a silver spoon in his mouth because he was tied to the royal family. Well, the slave culture is America's only child that she's ever had. It is what it is. And the Department of Agriculture would not exist today without the American slave culture. She's like up there, I don't know what happened. That's okay. I always bring my notes. We're not going to let PowerPoint stop this one. Fix it, because see, that next slide was so important. Let me give it to you. This was about it, and I made a note. If the USDA can help the American Indians and the Alaska Natives, and I always like to use the initials, AN, the AN group. Y'all got a program, and it talked about U.S. rural development can help American Indians and Alaska Natives become a part of the American economy, so the children and their grandchildren can have an equal opportunity in pursuing the American dream, and so that their tribal communities. And so what I put in there, AS, American slaves, the ones who built this country. The Indians was not going to build this country. That's why America went over to Africa and brought that seed back here to the United States. Everybody has benefited from it. Now, 40 acres and a mule was supposed to go to the American slave culture. How many of you got your 40 acres and a mule? Let me see, show of hands. Look around, y'all. Now, here's the thing. Hey, America now owes not only 40 acres and a mule now to that group, but to her descendants, which are now approximately 21 million. So we need to get together and work together and fix this thing. Y'all can keep the mule. I'll take a John Deere. Oh, we're back up. Go back. Yeah, oh, right here. Yes, here we go. The real question is, what is America going to do with her firstborn descendants? Next slide. Watch this here. Now, it's only knowing truth that makes you free. Now, I didn't update the slide yet because I just saw that the Native Indians just got 1.3 billion for reparation here just in the last 9 months. But look, the U.S. has paid 1.6 billion to Japanese American. Austria paid 25 million to the Jews claim. And the bottom line, I want to get right down here today. U.S. How much have the American slave culture got? Zero. And the Department of Agriculture would not be in existence if it wasn't for the American slave. It is what it is. I know it's hard, but you know what? I love this here. Let me tell you why. I've been set free. For many years, I have been struggling with black and African American. I'm a proud American. I'm a proud American that is a descendant of slaves. My ancestors built this country. And America needs to step up and take care of her firstborn, because she's been a deadbeat parent to her firstborn and to her descendants. It's time to flip the script. We're going to have to fix this thing. All of us. Turn around, look at your neighbor and say, we're going to have to fix this thing. And we now got an answer. We got a flight plan. We got Captain Dr. G here that's leading the charge. Tell your neighbor it's over. We're going to flip the script in 2016. Now, y'all, let me share this. You have what you say. Your confession equals your possession. Next slide. Now, this is what I was reading off of here, and I got this on y'all's website. It says the U.S. rural development can help American Indians and Alaska Natives become full partners in the American economy so their children and grandchildren can have an equal opportunity pursuing the American dream. The Indians was not going to be no slaves. And that's why they had to go and create the American slave culture. But we now got to start helping the American slave culture. Not black, not African American, say the American slave culture. I'm talking about Pookie, Junebug, Ray Ray, and Shaniqua. I want to make it really plain. Next slide, please. Because see, you guys are not, let me share this with y'all. The Department of Agriculture don't mind help. If they're willing to help the American Indians that weren't enslaved and then help the Alaska natives, why wouldn't they want to help the American slave culture who built this country? I want you to think about that. But the thing is, because we've had backward leadership that don't understand how America operates, don't understand commerce, and certainly don't understand immigration. It's been a leadership problem. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And I heard the sister up here talking about leadership as asset being influence. I totally agree with her. But somebody's got to step up and say, time out, we've been off course. And we're going to flip the script here in 2016. And I be him. Now, it says where there's no vision, guess what? The people perish. That has been the problem with our communities, our urban areas and in the rural areas. There really have been no real vision. So let's read this together, because we're about to drop this vision. You ready? We're going to flip the script. You said it. The ASI vision is to create a society which honors the accomplishment, recognizes the spirit, and uplift the images of the American slaves. A society that will explain to the descendants of slaves the advantage of them accepting their true identity and then releasing them to truly seek economic emancipation into mainstream America. Can you embrace that vision? Can you? You should. Because right now we don't have one for our urban areas. That's why we got all the killing in the urban cities. They moved from the southern, they booted them off the plantation. They came to the northern cities like East St. Louis and St. Louis. And these are nothing but modern day plantations. But we had a leadership problem. There's been no vision. Next slide, please. So here's the mission. Here's the mission. To educate, empower, and enlighten America on the plight and promises of the descendants of American slaves while creating strategies to identify true emancipation from government dependency. That's powerful. That's American Slave Inc. mission. And it's important because, see, the government is kicking you off anyway. The government's downsizing, or they have downsized. How many have ever been hit by the government downsize? I see your hands up in here. But we need to put this process in place. Next slide, please. Now, I'm getting ready to share with you, if we come together and collaborate with the American Slave Inc. and 501(c), and let me tell you, it's going to cost something. Now, if they're giving all these billions to all these other cultures and countries, I know they can afford 1.2 million. That's chump change. I'll say it again, that's no money. it to begin to heal and fix America. But this is what we're putting in place here, and y'all, I'm right down the street here. I got 15 acres right here on Goodfellow, where I've been working in the community, doing it out of my pocket, because I know that it needs it to be done. And when this person invited me to come here today, I said, no, I don't. You sure you want me to come? Because I'm going to keep it real with them. I'm going to keep it 100% real. The American slave culture needs to understand who they are, and we got to put in place a simple but comprehensive plan that leads them right into mainstream America. And we now have the processes in place to make that happen. And we are now neighbors. I didn't know all this existed up in here. Driving through here, I said, oh my God. I said, my neighbor, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, they know about slavery. I said, I'm going to come see them. I'm so glad you invited me. I see you. I ain't going to put you on Front Street. But I want her to keep her job. Because they're going to say, she invited Dr. G and he took us to 35,000 feet. He was about to drop us off. But this is what we want to do. The American Slave Culture Business Incubator is designed to initiate new businesses in the form of companies, partnership, and temporary organizations designed to search for repeatable and scalable business models. The underlying mission is to establish the American slave culture on the economic battlefield. And Dr. King said, before his death, he said the next battle that will be fought for Negroes, because that's what they was calling us then, will be out on the economic battlefield. And when that man, he was taking them to the economic battlefield. See, the night he was assassinated is when I accepted this call. And we're going to finish that. So I've got us now moving to the economic battlefield. Y'all know where the economic battlefield's at? Don't play me now. The economic battlefield is the United States Chamber of Commerce. That's where all the businesses are. That's where the banks are. That's where the railroad companies, the insurance companies, everybody that profited from slavery is still there. And so, since we're a non-profit 501c3, I've joined the Chamber of Commerce and I've been sharing with them about the vision and how we can begin to help heal our communities. But this is what we want to put in place here. This will begin to address the issues affecting urban America. We have to do this because failure for us to do it, things will not change and things are going to get worse. And if you look at what is currently going on in our political system right now, it's heading in an interesting space right about now. I'm not going. I'm not getting on board they plane. We got one here that we can begin to help quickly put in place to heal our inner cities. Next slide, please. Now, that's me. I was out on the weekends, well, I haven't this year, but normally I'm out there planting on Goodfellow, on my little 15 acres of land, planting, this was sweet potatoes I just put in the ground. I've got a cooperative over in Syston, Missouri, and I'm doing my best to bring down the rural community and the city together to work together to bring produce to help to heal the rural community. We got a plan and a process, and it's going to take all of us. It takes teamwork to make the dream work, but you got to have someone that understands the process and how to make it happen. But it's going to take all of us. Next slide, please. I know y'all going to sleep on me. Turn around, slap your neighbor. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. Please, because y'all going to see, Dr. G told me to hit you. Let me share this with you. Now that y'all know that we're the American slave culture, we asses, now you got my permission to tell your neighbor you're one of the biggest asses. Hey, next slide, please. Here's the next step in the process. Now, can we joke? I'm born on April Fool's Day, so I'm an April Fool's baby. So don't laugh. I love having fun. The problems are serious, but we're going to have a fun time fixing them. And so what we got to do, if the USDA is willing to help the AN culture, the Alaskan Natives, or the AI, American Indians, why wouldn't you want to help the AS culture, the American slave culture? You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Our group hadn't known who we were. Now, since y'all looking at me funny, I don't want to leave none of you out in this room. All of you guys are American slaves. In 1933, the United States filed bankruptcy. How many of you know that? You're about to learn something. I told you you're going to be enlightened before we leave here. They filed bankruptcy. And they gave everybody an EIN number. How many got a Social Security number? They pledged that number to the Federal Reserve, which is a private private bank, that we would be responsible for every dollar that it took in to help restore this country. So we are all American slaves. I know you're sitting there saying, oh, they were born, no. You have an EIN number, you are too. How many, the IRS gets their money from you every 2 weeks without your permission. I am the biggest ass. I work for American Airlines. And they take $5,000 a month out of my paycheck without my permission and gives to the federal government every month. And so what I'm saying to you, pilots make a lot of money, but that's why. But you know what, I had to work to get here, but on my days off, I'm working to help to fix the community, put that money back in the community to help solve the problem. I want to say thank you for taking time out to listen to me today, because it's so important that we step up and fix this problem here. Nobody's not going to come to our communities. We have to do it. And now we have leaders. I'm teaching, training, and developing leaders to understand the American slave concept and how to be empowered and understand, don't burn down the community. You own the community. You're a descendant of American slave. You're one of America's firstborn descendants. Next slide, please. The next slide was we can do this thing. We have some books over there that really will help you understand American slavery and what's been going on in America that will begin to empower you and take you to another level. I hope you enjoyed the message. Okay. Yeah, great. One other thing. Oh, I'm so glad I came back here. How many of you like to read? If I gave you this book here, I'm gonna give away 2 books. Who would read the American Little Black Book? Okay. Who was in that? I got one book, other book I'm gonna give away. This here is the Renaissance plan. This is how we fix it. This is the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm not coming here just to talk to you. It's just like when I fly that jet, I take the folks to the destination as captain. We're going to take the folks here to move them from poverty, ignorance, dependency, and complacency to knowledge, wealth, and power. It is over. And so, who would read this little blue book? I want to give it to a man. Who would come up here and get it? He didn't raise his hand. You gotta come get what you want. Last but not least, and this is something I want to do to the Department of Agriculture. This is my gift to you on behalf of American slaving. This is our flag, and I want to give this to you to take back to Washington with you. See, I've spoken over at the House of Lords of London, and I gave them a flag, and they have accepted it. I've spoken in Liverpool, England, because that's where slavery really did kick in big time. I gave them a flag, and it's flying at the Liverpool Museum, International Slavery Museum. I've given this flag here in Australia. I've spoken with the Australian government. They've accepted this flag. I just spoke up here at the United Nations, where I introduced the first ambassador to the American slave nation. Next month here, they asked me to come to Geneva, Switzerland, to speak on behalf of the descendants of American slaves. And we're ready to do business. We're all in place. We want to do business with the Department of Agriculture, but we want to give you this flag. And I just need 2 people. Come on, Tony. I know who you is. I know who you be. Okay, let the flag touch the ground. Never let the flag touch the ground. Come on, come on. I want you to. Look, pull it out, straighten out. Let me quickly explain to you this flag here. This flag here represents the American slave nation. The 13 stripes here represented the 13 colonies that sided with the United States to end slavery. The 23 stars here made up the United States before the American Civil War and shortly thereafter. And the big star in the middle is the product that came out of America, the greatest thing that has ever been created. Every 9 months, it pops out, the American slave. Slavery was the foundation of the United States. It will always be. And so we have to begin to heal our foundation. Say we. We have to do this. And so I'm dedicating and giving this flag here to the United States Department of Agriculture. I'm a proud descendant of American slaves. My grandparents, great-great-grandparents were slaves, and I represent the culture. This is something for us to be proud of, because we shouldn't be ashamed of slavery, because that's our heritage. I know people want to make it, no, that's a proud, the people, they were awesome that built this country. And so don't ever be proud, and don't try and ever burn it down, because we are the descendants. We are America's firstborn. Thank you. And I'm giving you that plan. And now, give this, oh, take a picture. Okay, good.
Okay, on behalf of the EEOAC and the FSA Civil Rights Council, we want to give you this certificate of appreciation for coming in and giving us acknowledgement.
And I accept it. Thank you.
Thank you.